Today we got a jam-packed Moe-filled episode of Awesomeness in Light. We're talking about magical girls, my personal favorite genre of anime. You got your Sailor Moons and you got your card captor Sakuras, but we're talking about Madoka Magica, or in full, Palilla Magi Madoka Magica. Say that 3 times.
Yeah, definitely talking about something that's super duper cute on the outside, but kind of dark and sinister on the inside if you watch it. Yeah, if you've actually, this anime's been out for a while, so if you've seen the promo for it or you've seen some of the pictures or the art styles, you might just thinking like, oh gosh, another card captor Sakura. But no, you actually have to get through it to, you know, to really understand that there's much deeper plot to this. If you've ever heard anyone talking about it, they probably always say, get to episode 3 and you'll find out how real it is. That is so totally true. Don't even trust the opening sequence. The opening sequence is almost nothing like how the anime works.
The opening sequence and the pictures it's pretty much like it's like the van with promises of candy and sweet stories and adventure. And then when you go into the van, you're like, oh, where's the candy? And then you're in a world of darkness. That is Madoka Magica.
I can't believe that you just tied in a creepy person's van with an anime about little girls.
Because that is Madoka Magica. That's what it does.
Okay, well, there's no creepy vans in this anime. So
by creepy vans, you mean the Witch's Labyrinths?
Not quite the same, but the Witch's Labyrinths are actually quite awesome. Like, there's an aspect of the show where you have these really, Moe is the best word for it, these very adorably drawn characters, and they are submitted to this world that's kind of like straight out of something like...
Yeah, if Miyazaki, Tim Burton, and Neil Gaiman had like a baby and made that baby went on to make stuff, boom, that's the Witch's Labyrinth.
Yeah, it's a good interpretation of how this art style is actually.
The best way the manga Knight can interpret it.
Yeah, so you do have a lot of really kind of creepy, but at the same time a little bit cute, very like sinister, but kind of bubbly aspects of these Witches' Labyrinths that the magical girls have to go in to fight their enemy, which are the witches. Yeah, and it's a little bit different than just your average like, oh no, it's a lion monster that you might find from like Sailor Moon or things like that. Because again, this isn't your typical Sailor Moon, we're gonna go out and fight with our friends and save the world and
prevail in the end.
Cute music playing. No, this is actually something that gets a lot deeper, and that's what interested me the most was
It's very human.
Yeah, it's the ability to. It was the ability that this anime threw in that made you really double think the situation of becoming a magical creature or a superhero, because the characters themselves are not only fighting these creatures, the witches, but they really are fighting to make sure that they themselves survive and that they themselves don't turn into something equally as terrible as what they're fighting. And it's all done with these, they're all like tiny middle school girls, and they're dealing with these situations that an average, even a really angsty teenage girl probably shouldn't have to deal with.
I mean, it's like what you said, that was the highlight of Madoka Magica, because like a lot of people have tried this, comic books and video games, like, oh, you know, the superhero who learns being a superhero is not that great. Like, no, Madoka Magica not only pulls that off flawlessly, but also shows you, you know, some people really just were not meant to be superheroes because they asked for sacrifices, which the girls themselves eventually run into. Like, I can't do it. I can't make that choice.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, the fact that a magical girl series pulled this off, I was just sitting back just like...
Yeah, it's definitely something, it was totally unexpected. I know we continue saying that, but it had a lot of really awesome plot elements that you really would not expect, and that I really haven't seen another anime do very well. Yeah, you're already expecting, like I said, just to knock this point home. What this kind of reminds me of, just hear me out here, is kind of, it's very similar to the idea of Dot Hack Sign.
Dot Hack Sign, really?
Yeah, like you have a whole virtual world, a whole anime about a virtual world, but realistically that's not what they're talking about the entire time. So if you've seen Dot Hack Sign, that's even older than Madoka Magica, but it's not about the virtual world, it's about a single character trying to fight to get back into their own consciousness, and they have a lot of dialogue that deals with them being in the virtual world, them trying to get out of the virtual world, and while Madoka Magica is dealing more with a magical world situation, it's not really about...
And also stays on point way better than Dot Hack, and I just want to point that out there.
Yeah, it's not always about just the magical girl scenario. There's a lot that's going on aside from just fighting virtual monsters or magical monsters. There is actually a lot of character development and a lot of side story that leads up to the ultimate
and a lot of self-realization. And I'm not talking about like the fake self-realization. I'm talking like, you know what? I'm not a good person. I just realized that.
I'm a bad person.
I'm a
bad
terrible
magical
human being.
girl.
Yeah. But and like the thing, you also forgot though, the music. The music, in my opinion, is the most spot on part about it, because like when shit gets real and the world gets like violent and turns around, the music starts to subtly pumps up, and then the riffs start changing, and then the world and the environment starts changing around, and it perfectly reflects the character, the world, and the situation, all in that perfect like trifecta.
Yes.
It's just, I'm sorry, like when stuff like that happens, it just makes me immerse into the whole experience, and I just want more of it.
Yeah, music is a really big part of this because it does.
Yukikaisha, right?
Yeah.
Compose it.
Which
was a red flag, because she usually does really dark stuff. Because I'm like, wait, she composes this, but this is really.
And you do
Moe.
get a kind of a taste of that in the ending sequence, because it is more subtle, it's not as bubbly cute, and her music is playing, and so you're kind of wondering like, well, why, if they're so cute middle school kids in school and they're going to be fighting these,
why does that magical girl have a gun?
Yeah. So yeah, it does kind of, it foreshadows itself, but it does take a little while for you to actually get as deep as you really want to, and we really didn't want to give you any spoilers because a lot of people we know still haven't seen this anime.
But you really should, because...
Well, now they will, because everyone's watching this. They're going to go watch it right now. I mean, right, it's on Crunchyroll.
For the will of Manga Knight has to read it.
And there are only 12 episodes, so you know that you're going to catch on to what happens rather quickly, compared to what we're going to talk about in our next video, which will be
the movie. Oh, Rebellion, right?
Yes, Madoka Magica Rebellion just came out this past year, and we won't go into that because we got to end this video.
Yes.
But that'll be a little bit more darkness if you don't get enough from watching the anime itself.
So, as I sit here and beg and plead and decree that you watch Madoka Magica yourself and you tell us
even
what you feel
guys
about
out there, you watch that.
And if you already watch it, comment down below. Let us know your experience. Your favorite magical girl, which for me was Homura. Best moments, best highlighted, anything. Hit us up on the Facebook and the Twitter.
Yeah.
The Facebook and the Twitter. Yeah,
the
Facebook and the Twitter.
Yeah, both of those places. You know, leave a comment below. We'd like to talk to you about it. Start a conversation with me at my new Twitter, which is @AnimeAficionado, which you'll be talking straight to me.
Signing off, this is the Manga Knight.
And I'm Little Wren.
And you guys have a Moe-Tastic day.